Hello, what is up, and welcome guys to this is actually the second replay that I do here for Heart of the Swarm beta. My name is Promise, and it's another game. If you guys didn't check out the previous game, which was the first game I casted, obviously this is game number 2, make sure you check it out. It was between White Raw and Destroyer. Protoss versus Terran game, very fun to cast. But anyway, we have a different kind of matchup that we're going to be casting and focusing on today. It is going to be a Terran versus Zerg. And in my opinion, so far, TVZ is probably the most interesting matchup in Heart of the Swarm. You know, I'm a Protoss player. I've played a lot of games on ladder. Not a lot, but a good amount. And it seems that Protoss is kind of the same as it was in Wings of Liberty. It's still very dependent on death balls, still dependent on, you know, basically the same composition. Stalkers, Colossus, you know, maybe just a quicker mothership, I guess, because you have the mothership core available to use. But I might be wrong. I mean, things are still getting figured out. People are figuring out you know, what the units do and how to figure out different build orders and strategies. So I guess I just need to, you know, experiment a little bit more before coming to conclusions. But Terran and Zerg, the reason why it's so dynamic is there's so much that can go on in TVZ. I feel like scouting is probably the most important in this matchup. I mean, Terran players are kind of just making Warhounds because they can, because the Warhound is a pretty damn good unit. So I would not be surprised if Theognis does anything like that. Oh, I forgot. What the hell am I doing? How about we introduce our players, guys? Let's go ahead and talk about our players. On the right side, we have a red Terran player, going to be known as Theognis from Quantic Gaming. And on the bottom side here towards, I guess you can say the 5 o'clock position, almost 6 o'clock, we have the blue Zerg player, Power Drone. This is also EGMachine, just playing on a Smurf account. Pretty sure a lot of people have figured it out by now, but, you know, always cool to kind of be a little bit anonymous when you're playing the game of StarCraft 2. But so far, openings very, very similar to what people do in Wings of Liberty. Going for that 15 hatch is going to be Machine, following it by the spawning pool. I believe that was a 16 pool. So everything looking pretty standard. We're not seeing any kind of quick rushes or 7 pools or 8 pools or anything like that coming out from our players. Theognis, meanwhile, looking like he's going to go ahead and take a natural expansion. I believe this was a 1-Rax expand. Yes, it is a 1-Rax expand. So everything looking pretty damn normal so far. Now the gases are going to get taken from Theognis, so we're going to have to see exactly what kind of tech he goes for. Most likely going to go ahead and throw a factory very soon in the game. I mean, factory is kind of essential in Terran versus Zerg. It gets you Hellions, gets you Warhounds, gets you Siege Tanks, gets you a lot of things. And even if you want to go towards the later stages, you can go ahead and get, you know, an armory, get some Thors, and transition to mech. Which, speaking of mech is pretty good in TVZ right now. A lot of players going for very quick Warhounds, transitioning into a very strong, I don't know how to say this. I guess they make Siege Tanks, they make Thors, Warhounds, Hellions. Of course, the Battle Hellion can be very good when it's used in battle and in combat, mixed in with you know, the right composition, of course, to help support that unit. But Theognis, so far, I mean, he did add the 2 gases. The factory, is it going to be on its way? In fact, there it is. Factory's on its way for Theognis. We also see the reactor expansion is going to complete as well for the Terran player, as we see them just chit-chatting right now. I think he knows. Okay, so now he knows this is Machine. Cool, cool. So Theognis at this point is like, oh, look here, guys, this is Machine. So let's go ahead and take a win from Machine early on here in Heart of the Swarm. We're gonna have to wait and see if he in fact does that. But Machine, you know, his natural expansion has completed for some time. Does have a good amount of drones mining, getting a 3rd gas. 2 gases, of course, have been taken to the main. So speed should be on its way very soon. And Machine going for a very, very quick 3rd expansion. And that's not a mistake at all. And Theognis is he's just getting another command center, so he's going to be on 3 base economy here very soon. If we look at Machine's vision very quickly, I mean, he sees, or he can assume that Theognis took a pretty fast expansion. So going for this very quick 3rd of his own is a very smart idea. He's not going to really, you know, feel any kind of pressure early on in the game, but let's talk a little bit about, you know, what tech Machine is probably going to go for here. I mean, he's on 3 gases, adding a Roach Horn, getting his metabolic boost, you know, getting a spine a little bit for defense in case of any kind of Hellions coming by. And in fact, there's some Hellions on the map from Theognis. Behind this, getting Cloak, getting a Banshee. This is very, very similar to the opening people did in Wings of Liberty. You get Hellions, get yourself some map control, do some economic damage with Banshee, and he is getting Cloak. So Cloak's going to make the Banshee much, much stronger for Theognis. So Machine, you know, what does he do from here? What can he really go for? The Swarm Host is a pretty cool unit that's added to the Zerg army. It's very hard to take care of or to deal with power to deal with. I was going to say power drones. It's very hard to deal with Swarm Hosts. If you don't have any kind of detection. Of course, they burrow, they have locusts that just spawn continuously, they never stop. I think there's like a cooldown on it, but you need to scan and you need to have some kind of detection to spot it. So Theognis definitely wants to take that into consideration. Continuing to make Hellions. His Cloak is almost completed. His 3rd command center is completed as well. Getting a bunker here for a little bit of defense, and Machine being a little bit bold and aggressive. I mean, he's on 3 bases. Units tab so far, if we look at the harvester count, 47 drones for Machine, 43 SCVs for Theognis, getting more drones. And this is a cool little play from Machine, because Theognis is in a pretty awkward position. He knows Machine has a 3rd because he obviously scouted it, but is he all-inning behind this? Is he taking another expansion? What is he doing? And Machine is just showing a good amount of roaches right now, moving in with banelings behind this, just making drones. Theognis now trying to micro as best as possible. What is this new cool unit? I think this is the Battle Hellion, but anyway, Theognis pulling some SCVs off the mineral line, trying to repair the bunker. Of course, bunker needs to survive if Theognis does not want to lose in this game. But so far, Banshee's about to come out. This Banshee's pretty much hammering at everything. How many kills does this boss have? 5 kills. So, nice little use there by the Banshee, of course, guys. Roaches, you know, they don't attack Banshees. Roaches cannot attack airs. So, actually, there's another Banshee just killing stuff here at the 3rd expansion. So I think that was like 15 kills on that Banshee. So nice little return there for Theognis, giving himself a supply advantage, 75 to 66. 3rd command center is completed right now for Theognis. Machine, meanwhile, getting a Spire. Does have his double evolution chambers. Does he have 1-1 completed? I think he should have 1-1 completed. Getting a macro hatch. Okay, so he is in fact getting started on 2-2. Getting a Spire. So is this gonna be just like a mutiling baneling composition? Most likely. The fact that he's getting a relatively quick Spire kind of hints that he's gonna go for a very quick mutalisks. But anyway, Banshee's here flying around the map. They will be able to spot this nice little, you know, changeling. Not really gonna do anything. But Hellions, again, trying to move into the 3rd, and you know what? Props to Machine. He's been doing a fantastic job of defending against these Hellions. You know, he knows he needs to be kind of, you know, playing a little bit more map aware. Of course, Hellions can just run around from here. They can also just come from the front side and attack that way. But the Banshee is still alive, doing even more damage right now for Theognis. Theognis now sitting on 102 supply compared to the 86. Harvesters are now in the favor of the Terran player. 3rd expansion is established as well. So Theo, aka Theognis, is playing this a very, you know, he's being aggressive, but he's not being very aggressive. And I feel like this is what Terran players need to do, you know, with the Heart of the Swarm expansion. He hasn't made any Warhounds. Okay, there it is. There is the bad boys in production. 2 Warhounds about to pop out here for Theognis, adding on 2 additional factories. And the Warhounds, once those are out, oh my god, it is going to be, it's going down, guys. Warhounds are a pretty good unit. They did get a buff, or a nerf, not a buff. So they're a little bit worse than they are, but they're still really, really powerful units. So I'm curious to see what Zerg really do to deal with Warhounds. Is it going to be Mass Roaches? What is it going to be? Mutas in production right now for Evil Genius's Machine. As we see some Hellions here moving across the map. Nice little ninja expansion being taken there from Theognis towards the left side of the map. So he's going to be on 4 bases rather soon. You know, Machine obviously does not spot this expansion, but he desperately needs maybe a 4th of his own, or just, you know, do some kind of economic damage onto Theognis. But here's some Mutalisks moving towards that frontal 3rd expansion of Theo. Not a lot of units here for Theognis. Mutas Roach is doing a lot of damage, but Warhounds are out, of course, guys. Warhounds do not attack air as well. They are just... Let's look at it. So, Warhounds are kind of like a little bit like Goliaths, but I would say they're better. Better attack damage. They're not better as a unit, but they're still pretty good. But Machine, you know, he's being a little bit aggressive, and I think it's working out in its favor. But hold that thought. Hellion's moving towards that gold expansion, which would have been Machine's 4th. Completely kills that off. So nice little victory there for Theognis. But meanwhile, you know, Theo kind of lost his own 3rd expansion, so he's in a pretty weird position. Down to 130 supply. Machine now going to give himself the supply advantage. 136. Mutas are still alive. Meanwhile, Hellion's still continuing to actually just run around the map. Moving into the natural right now of Machine. Blue Flame is completed. A lot of drones going to go down right now here for Machine. Eventually we'll be able to clean it up. But Theo, quickly but surely, man, he is building a scary army. 1-1 is completed for his mech army. Thor's in production. Getting his vehicle platings level 2. Of course, this expansion still just hanging out, not even scattered by Machine, so he has no idea. Getting an orbital command as well, so I don't know. I feel like if Machine doesn't scout this out, this is probably going to be not good for Machine. I mean, he's still on 3 bases, does have a supply advantage, 163 to 135. Theognis going to go ahead and try to secure that 3rd expansion once again, getting his double gases. Meanwhile, Hellion's moving around the map towards the left side of the map, and I mean, Theo's army, if you guys don't let the supply count fool you, because if you look at the basic army composition, Warhounds, Thors, Hellions, a good amount of Marines as well, and he has a pretty good harvester count. So against what Machine has, which is Mutas and Roaches, I would bet some money that this army would kill it. And here, in fact, looks like Machine going to go into attack mode, moving into the 3rd expansion. Thor is doing a lot of damage. Machine focusing down a lot of the Thors. SCV is getting pulled off the mineral line. Is Theognis going to be able to hold against this? And this is a very, very powerful attack here from Machine. But he's kind of all in from here. I mean, his 4th is on its way. Pretty late for the 4th for Machine. Mutalisk trying to do some damage. Theognis holding by the skin of his teeth. Thor is still alive. A boss Thor with some nice 6 kills there from the Thor. So I would say that was probably a victory for Theognis. I mean, Machine is taking that 4th, as I mentioned before. It looks like that top expansion was in fact spotted by Machine. Upgrades for Machine. What does it look like he's doing? It looks like 2-1 is completed. Tech for Machine is just roaches, and more roaches. Getting his Carapace level 2 for his roaches, but I mean, he hasn't used any new units. He's not using the Swarm Host. He's not using the Viper. He's kind of just, you know, relying onto what he knows from Wings of Liberty, and I guess that might be the smarter way to play, to be honest. You want to figure out, you know, how you can incorporate the units, but again, you want to use the new units in the new beta. But hold that thought. Theognis moving forward, actually Machine moving forward, 176 supply, just moving his roaches straight into that mech army of Theognis. And Machine killing the Thors off very quickly, very nicely done there by Machine. Focusing down some more of these Thors and Warhounds and the Battle Hellion. But Theognis still telling himself, you know what, come at me, bro, come at my mech army. And it's not going to be pretty when you're just making roaches. Now, Machine making Mutas, I do not know if Mutas are the right response here for Machine. I would have loved for him to see, for him to use the Swarm Host, you know, a little bit earlier into the game. Maybe do some damage. Maybe just, you know, use it for a little bit of defensive purposes. I've seen some players that, you know, make some Swarm Hosts, build them in these areas, and just have them kind of, you know, as a stance on the map to defend against any kind of pushes from a Terran player. So Machine just, you know, relying onto the Roach composition, continuing to get his upgrades. Meanwhile, Theognis going to go ahead and try to take that expansion, which would be his 4th again. I don't know. Would this be the better 4th for Theognis? I'm curious. So he's going to take this one. This would be a pretty good base because, of course, it has gold minerals, but he's not doing that because he doesn't have to do that because his army, look at this army. This army is very scary. He does have an upgrade advantage as well to Machine. Actually, Machine just got finished with 2-2. So Machine, you know, I mean, I feel that the longer this game goes, the more powerful Theognis' army is going to be. I mean, Machine's basically maxed. I mean, I really don't know how this battle is going to go out. I mean, Thors and this many Warhounds against this many Roaches, I feel like the Warhounds would win. But we're going to have to wait and see. But it looks like some mutants going to go ahead and try to fly around the map right now. We'll be able to spot this expansion again. There it is. So Theognis now tells himself, okay, you keep spotting this expansion. You're so annoying, and you just cannot let me have this expansion. So I'm just going to push the front in the center of the map. Cloaked Banshees are going to be here. There's going to be some Overseers, but the Roaches are not going to be able to do anything to the Banshees. Theognis completely running over the army composition of Machine, falling down to 159. Both players relatively even on supply. More Thors, more Hellions, more Warhounds in production right now from Theognis. Looks like Machine going to go for a nice little counterattack. Planetary Fortress is in position. Not looking good at all for Machine. This is going to get repaired for days. And Theognis kills that 4th expansion from Machine. Unfortunately, Machine not in the best position at all for trying to come back into this game. Theognis still moving forward with the Warhounds and the Thors. Will be able to even kill this 3rd expansion, but the top left, which is the 4th, or I believe the 4th, yeah, it was the 4th for Theo, did get killed. But it's just the army. I mean, what is this? Look at this. This is not something that Machine can kind of just attack and move into. He's down to 104 supply. The Roaches that tried to do a little bit of a counterattack didn't really do so much. Down to 90 supply. And look at the Warhounds. Just go, man. They're just so strong. Holy crap, look at this. They're just like they're like the soldiers that never give up. They just keep going and going and going and keep killing things without any effort. But yeah, this is pretty much gonna be the victory for Theognis, killing all the expansion from Machine. Hasn't really spotted this, but I mean, what can Machine really do when he's down to 28 Harvesters? And there it is. GG gets called by Evil Genius's Machine. So that was a pretty cool game. Of course, it does seem like the Warhound is still very powerful, and Mech seems to be really good in TVZ, but we're going to have to wait and see until more patches, more balance changes happen in Heart of the Swarm Beta. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the replay. There's going to be a lot more of these on the YouTube channel here very, very soon, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Peace.